Hello, 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 hello. I know y'all was wondering, where is the real money coach? Where is they at? Listen, we were having some technical difficulties in the background. We were trying to work out some things because we have an awesome show for you today. We got an awesome interview that you guys are going to learn a lot. And so that I know who I'm talking to, let's put it in the chat. Y'all come on into the show. Put where you are watching from, where are you watching from. Put it in the chat so that we know who is dialed in tonight. Listen, we are excited about the show. We're excited about you being here. And I'm just looking to see who's here. I haven't had anybody told me they're here yet. I'm waiting so I can say hello. Listen, so like I mentioned, we have a great show for you. I think you're going to learn a lot. I learned a lot during this process of this interview that we're going to show with Miss Jeanette Bayardelle tonight. And so we are excited. So right now I'm going to Miss Renee from Connecticut. I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're here. I'm looking, she may not be on tonight, but I'm looking for Miss Ruth Bell. Miss Ruth Bell may be one of the senior viewer, but today is her birthday. And so if she pops on, I just need to know so we can say happy birthday to Miss Ruth Bell today. And in the meantime, let's bring on Michelle Mitchell. Michelle, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, Tony?
I'm doing good. All right, Michelle, there's
Yes.
an elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is student loan debt.
Right.
And what is going on with student loan debt? I mean, come on. I'm watching these reports, right? So I'm watching the
Mhm.
reports earlier in the week. Um, thank you, Dante, reminded me that StreamYard, which is the platform that we're using here, that their Facebook comments aren't working. And so the only ones that we're seeing are the people who are doing it on YouTube. So if you're on YouTube, we're going to be able to see your comments tonight. If you're on Facebook, we will not be able to see your comments tonight. There's some technical, yeah, I know. Like,
Right.
like what? Facebook always running some interference on something, right? Listen, that lady right there, she don't do YouTube. She do Facebook, right? She
Right.
do Facebook. She do Facebook. So we're not going to be able to see any of your comments if you are making those comments on Facebook. But if you're doing YouTube or if you're in LinkedIn, we'll be able to see your comments. Now, those of you who have my number, feel free to send a text. I will keep an eye on my text messages if you guys text me, that type of thing. So with that being said, Miss Renee says she's on Facebook, right? But it looks like
It looks like
her comment comes. It looks like it's coming through YouTube.
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know how that's working, but I
Mhm.
don't know. There's something going on. So listen. So yeah, I know this is already a different show, right? But it's good. It's going to be some good information. Euro Day from Boston, Massachusetts here. Renee from Connecticut. We got the what they call it. The New England states are in the house. Alice Martin is here. I don't know if Alice is on YouTube or if she's on Facebook, but Alice Martin is in the house, right? So we love that. Thank you for being here. And so it very well may be that that Ruth Bell is on tonight. So we want to say happy birthday to her and Michelle. So as I was mentioning, we got this thing with student loans, right? So
Yeah.
I read this right that we got this student loan situation and it goes to Supreme Court. They refuse to hear the case. This
Hmm.
was brought by a taxpayer group in Wisconsin, right?
Okay. Hmm.
So it was brought by a taxpayer group in Wisconsin. Supreme Court says, we're not going to even hear it, right? And then,
Bill is in the house. She on Facebook.
She on Facebook. Who's
Dr.
that?
Bonita Harris. She on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
What's up, y'all?
Oh, they say, you're right. We went to Facebook, then we hit the YouTube button at the bottom. Okay, got it. So then a couple days later, we hear that there is a federal judge that puts a halt to the whole program because of a lawsuit that's being brought by 5 red states, Republican governor states that have filed a suit that forgiving the student loan debt is unfair. And by the way, those of you who are in the local area, South Carolina was one of the 5 states that filed that said we don't think that it is lawful or right to forgive the student loan debt.
Of course.
So my question is, here's my question, right? So we had this situation where we had this PPP money, right?
That is right.
Payment protection plan.
Yes.
And there was other stimulus monies that were given.
Yes.
Right. That was forgiven, other than payroll protection, right? There was other stimulus money that was forgiven, the IDL loan, EDIL loan, some of these other things that were forgiven. Why didn't these governors complain about that money being forgiven?
Right.
But they want to have a problem with the student loan. So I don't know. You tell me what you think.
Yeah. You know, I think they pick and choose what they want to fight against if they feel like it's against them. So, you know, what?
Yeah, just crazy. Just crazy. And my thing is, what is it hurting you? Right. What is it hurting you as a state? Bonita Harris said, you know why, right?
Right. PhD.
Listen,
all them degrees.
I love that. She got the PhD. I love that. Yes. I love that icon, right? That's pretty sweet. So, you know, my thing is, you know, what is it hurting your state? Because y'all, they're like, you know, too many of us have the loans, right?
You are correct. Because okay, who's really the largest group like emerging who have student loans? It is women.
Correct.
Are going to college more than men, more than the male counterpart. So who's going to have more debt? So is it another fight against women and people of color, or what? Because
what? Okay, so here's what we do. We carve out women, right? So you got women who are going to school more, incurring more debt, and then you have people of color. So if we take those 2 groups out,
what you got left? Who left?
I ain't saying no names, right? I ain't saying no names, but you know, it and here's, I think part of it is this, that the base, when we look at the base, Joe Biden's base, the Democratic base, there's more college educated, surprisingly young people in that base than in the traditional Republican base. And so it's all political, right? So the thing about it is,
people who have educations are able to critically think. So there you go.
And so oftentimes people say, well, you don't need a college education, you don't need this. But there's some things that you learn in college that you're not going to learn anywhere else.
Nowhere else.
I believe that. There's 2 things I think you cut your teeth on if you're me, right? It's one is when you go to college, and number two is doing door-to-door sales. Them 2 things. Listen, them 2 things, and I started the door-to-door thing when I was in college, right? Cutco knives. If anybody else sold Cutco knives, put Cutco in the chat, right? I sold Cutco knives. I remember my mentor bought a $2,000 set of knives for me, right? Lowell Rinker, right? You remember
Yeah.
Lowell Rinker bought a $2,000 set of knives. My mother and love, they bought knives from me. I still got the starter set, right?
Them knives
But
still work.
they still work. They still sharp, right? So the thing about it, they're good knives. I'm just saying, I'm gonna grow up and buy me a whole set one day. But here's the thing: you learn some things doing door to door that you don't do anywhere else.
Yes.
Now, listen, Renee says, I work to pay mine in full and have no problem with forgiveness debts, right? And that's the other thing. Some people say, well, it's not fair for the people who do pay for. Listen, the debts that I see rolling across my debt in some student loan, that 10,000 or 20,000,
Yeah.
it barely puts a dent in it. It's
barely
not that we don't want to be appreciative of it, but it is a tough situation. So,
And Tony, it's not like it was when. So there is another problem, with this, but and I think the debt is a symptom of the real problem, because when we went to school, we didn't come out of undergrad with $40,000 and $50,000 in debt.
right.
Maybe we had 10, maybe, at our school tuition, if I remember correctly, was maybe 5,000 a year. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think you remember that right.
I'm serious.
maybe you had the Ben Harbor plan the tuition. That wasn't my tuition. No,
I
but
mean, I had scholarships and stuff that covered it, but I'm thinking really it was like 5,000.
I think with
a
room
year.
and board for 2
Mhm.
semesters,
Mhm.
I believe when we went to Western, because when I got a scholarship, right, full
Mhm.
scholarship, and I believe that full scholarship was like 16,000 a year, and that was to cover room, board, tuition,
Tuition.
everything.
Mhm.
I think it was something like that. I mean,
Okay.
I think, and maybe it was you might be right. It might have been a total of 40,000 actually.
Right.
For 4 years.
For
For
4
4
years.
years. For
Mhm.
4 years.
Kids are
And
paying that
so,
a year.
yeah. So now the cost of
Mhm.
school has gone. I mean, we're always talking about inflation, and everyone's talking about inflation today being around 8%. Well, college education inflation has
Mhm.
steadily been,
Yeah.
8-9% for
Yes.
years.
For
And
years.
so what you're saying, the other problem isn't just the
Right.
debt, it's the cost of getting
It's
an
the
education
cost of the
has become
education
so expensive.
itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, man, it's a serious situation though.
It is.
And so you guys stay tuned. I mean, and they were still recommending that everyone file. They had 20 million people file already.
Mhm.
They recommended everyone still continue to file for forgiveness, be in line. So as this thing goes down, we can see what happens. So
Right.
to me, that's the hot news right now, right?
That is
Is
the hot
that
news.
that is the hot news.
And I'm doing my financial literacy class with my nieces and nephews. So I sent them the link. I'm like, y'all get on the list. And it's for
Get on
current
the list.
students too.
Right.
So if you have current debt, get on the list. Yeah.
Dr. Benita Harris said this. She said, education ought to be free. It ought to be a right that we have. I mean, we pay taxes, right?
That is true.
And everything else,
Mhm.
right? So, and I do believe in some countries getting a college education does not cost. I mean,
Right.
and there's other countries really where you don't even have the opportunity to do it. So we are blessed. I mean, let's not get it twisted. We are blessed to be able to do it, but it's just far too expensive. And
It
and I
is.
think I think I shared the average PhD student is something like over $100,000 of student loan debt to get a PhD. You
Yeah.
know, and then you got your masters on top of that, and you got all these type of other things that's in so it's a real situation for real.
I know. I mean, my daughter, she's looking at medical school, and the she's going to be in such debt to go to medical school.
Right. Yeah.
I
So
support her in her
you
dream.
better graduate and get that medical job to pay that
That's
debt
right.
off, right?
So you
Right.
gotta finish. That's the
You got to
point. You
finish.
gotta finish.
You got to finish.
Yeah.
The
You
worst
can't
case
just
scenario is to end up with the debt, no degree, no job, no. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
listen. Here's the thing. So as we're talking about all this, um, I'm just very excited about the interview that we're about to have. So, folks, our interview tonight is with a lady. Her name is Jeanette. Um, Bayardelle. And again, I want to give a shout out to my mother-in-law who's watching tonight that turned me on to this
Oh,
lady.
this okay.
Yeah, yeah. So she turned me on to her. I'm not sure where she saw her
Mhm.
on CNN or CBS or Good Morning America. I know it wasn't Tonight Show because Mom should be asleep by then, right? But she's been on all these shows,
Yes.
and she has what she's done is she's taken two of her passions, which is performing.
Mhm.
She's a Tony nominated actress, singer. She played on Broadway. She was in The Color Purple. She played Celie in The Color Purple, the Broadway show. And so she took her passion for the arts and her passion for financial literacy and particularly trading, and she's merged them together, created what is called Broadway to Wall Street.
Mhm.
And she's actually traveling out of the country. So I got a chance to a few days ago, I got a chance to do an interview with her, and we're going to show that interview. And I tell you what, I learned a lot. I'm
Yeah.
excited about what she shared. So the interview is about 31 minutes long. So we need to get it cracking here. That's what we're working on. So hopefully we got the bugs worked out. If not, listen, get the information. If the words don't line up, right? If the lips and the words don't match, pretend that you're watching one of those old kung fu movies, right? All right, so pretend that you're watching one of those old kung fu movies where they were talking like
Right.
that. So just pretend that you're watching those, get the information because it's valuable. So with that, Dante, we ready to roll the video of the interview? You can take us down and put it on, and hopefully by us being off, it'll also stay caught up.
Yeah.
Hello, Jeanette. How are you today?
I am well. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. I just want to, first of all, let me thank you for just taking the time out. I know you got a busy schedule. You're about to go abroad, and you took the time out to do this interview for me so that we can play this for our audience. Um, and as I was mentioning to you right before we got started, Saturday, the interview on the radio played, and people were texting me saying, "This is great information. Thank you." So I really appreciate you just taking the time out to do this for me.
Absolutely. I'm grateful to be here. And we had fun with that interview that we did for the radio. So
We
I'm looking
did.
forward to talking more today.
Yeah, and now we get the visual along with the audio. So here we go.
Yes.
Right? So for our audience, I mean, it's not every day that we have a Tony nominated actress on our show. So I do want to tell the people a little bit. I want you to tell a little bit about yourself and your background, and then we're going to get into this from Broadway to Wall Street,
Wow.
which is pretty cool. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about you.
All right. Well, I'm Jeanette Bayardelle, singer, actress, entrepreneur, producer, writer, dot. And I was raised in the Bronx, New York. I went to high school of performing arts. For those of you who don't know about that high school, if you remember the movie Fame, that's the Fame School. So I went there. After that, I went to Hunter College and I did a bachelor's in health science. And after that, I figured, I did the school thing. Now it's time for me to pursue the arts full time. So straight out of college, I started working in the arts. And my first Broadway show was The Color Purple.
Wow.
I played Celie. I did Broadway. I did tour, and then I did other shows, Hair. I created my own musical, Sheeta, which I'm
Uh-oh, I can't hear you. You're on mute, Tony.
Man, I was just talking away, right? So it looks like Dante fell off. I know he was having some internet issues, so hopefully he's back on. Looks like he's coming back on now, and we can continue. Michelle, you want to try? You want to see if you can share?
Yeah, but I couldn't get the sound.
Oh, we couldn't get the sound going?
Yeah, I didn't know how to get the sound to go.
Let's see.
I mean, I have it here if you need it.
And I do know how I can avoid this next time. Next time I'll do the show. I'll actually tape it in StreamYard, so it's already here.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if we can get this. He disappeared again.
He did.
Yeah. Let's see if it's going to let me.
Okay.
And it will not let me share.
It won't let you share?
It still will not let me share for some reason.
Yeah, no, I couldn't.
You're still having the same.
I can try it.
Yeah, let's give it a try.
Okay. And let's see if we can get some sound. Okay, is it in the, can you see it?
I can see it. And is your volume up? This is like one of those talk shows, y'all, where you said call a lifeline. Antonio. We can see it, we just don't have any volume.
You don't have any volume?
No. Can you hear it coming out of your computer?
Yes. You can't.
Mm-mm.
Can you hear that? Nope.
Yeah, Deontay just said that he got rebooted and
Should I pause it?
yeah, pause it, Michelle, and go to your settings.
Okay.
and see
Okay.
what your
Audio.
speaker, yeah, audio.
Um,
Is your mic is probably your external mic,
hmm
and your speakers is your default internal speakers.
Yes. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be main default. Okay. Try it
I
again.
wonder if you use the mic on your, so your external mic, use your mic on your computer. We're sorry, y'all. We're trying to get it worked out.
Okay, I can try that.
All right, let's see what happens.
Can you hear it?
No,
I don't know.
that's the weirdest thing.
Audio, mic, speakers. Default. No.
Well, I guess this is what we're going to do.
Okay.
Let me do this because I want people to be able to get this information.
I'll send them the link.
I'm gonna send everybody the link. Okay, Dante said he's coming back up now, so we'll give a few minutes for Dante to get back up, and then we will see if we can finish it out. If not, y'all, if we're not able to get this running here in the next few minutes, we will definitely post the link. I will post it in a number of places, and we'll do that anyway. I'll post the link on our Facebook page. I'll have it available in the YouTube, and then we'll also put it inside of the Facebook group. So hang on tight with me just a few minutes and we're going to get this thing rolling. I believe when Dante comes back, we'll be able to show it. So in the meantime, let me go grab it off of YouTube and
I
post
can
it.
stop.
Hmm?
I can stop sharing.
Yeah. You know what they say about technology, right? So when technology's working, it's great.
It is.
When it's not, it's not.
It's not.
And you know, what's so funny about this, y'all, is that usually you say, well, you know, people love to pre-record because when you go live, you never know what's going to happen. Well, it's the opposite for us, right?
Right.
It turned out to be the opposite. So I am going to post it here in the chat. This is the link to the YouTube, and hopefully Dante is back. I see
played
he's
theater.
got it up.
I did Broadway. I did tour, and then I did other shows, hair.
It's slow.
And I created my own musical, Sheeta, which I'm so excited about. We've done it we've toured with it. We've done it off Broadway. We've done it in Europe, in London, and we're planning to bring it to Broadway 2003, 2004 season. And after that, I did Girl from the North Country, and that's where I was nominated for Best Featured Actress in a Musical. And throughout my career, I have been interested in finance and building my credit and my business credit, and eventually it led me to trading in the market, which I love. And then I decided to create something for people to be able to do the same thing, but don't have the stomach for the language, the financial.
Well, in the financial world, we use so many jargons and different
Yeah.
acronyms and all that. But one of the things I think is pretty amazing, because you talk to a lot of people who are inspiring artists. Maybe it's music, maybe it's acting, sometimes fashion art. And a lot of times they skip the college part and they go directly to pursue that dream. And I thought it was just kind of remarkable that you said you went and got a bachelor's in science or
Science.
yeah. And for me, that's amazing because science was not my thing, right? So why did you decide to do that? And then before pursuing the music thing or the career,
Well,
the dancing?
my parents really stress education. They were born in Haiti, and they're big on education and becoming a doctor or a lawyer. You got to be a doctor or a lawyer,
Got
doctor
it,
or
got it.
so. I figured if things didn't work out in the arts, I would like become a doctor. My dad's a doctor, my sister's a doctor, my aunt's a doctor, my cousins. We have a bunch of doctors in the family. So I figured if things didn't work out, I would just become a doctor. And I do love math and science.
Okay.
So I was in school and I was in college, like, okay, what is the quickest way I can get out of here and enjoy myself here? So it was math and science. So that's how I became a health science major. And I had already went to high school. I went to high school of performing arts. So we learned a lot of vocal technique and theater then. So I figured I wanted to do something different for college.
Gotcha.
Now
Good.
in the theater industry, they do go to college and they are trained, but they are trained in the field of acting and
Right.
performance.
And that's the
So
part that I thought was so unique, is the fact that you did the health science instead of the theater or one of those things. So that's pretty cool.
yeah.
So you,
Um,
you mentioned the high school you went to was the same school as Fame, right? And so people my
yes.
age and older, we remember watching Fame. We remember watching that
Mm,
on TV. So what was it like compared to what we saw on TV, right? So we always know that
man,
there's
it was okay. There weren't people dancing on the chair, on the tables in the lunchroom all the time, right? But I have to tell you, going to that high school it changed my life. Just being around a bunch of people we're like-minded, we're performers,
Mhm.
we're creatives. Every day was exciting. We did a lot of singing in the hallways, and people were dancing in the hallways at times, but we were always creative. I loved high school. It was kind of hard to graduate, like to leave my high school friends, because
Wow.
I knew that, I was leaving a community and I wasn't sure if I would get that type of community again. Fortunately, because I did choose to pursue the arts, I am in that type of community again. And I'm grateful for that, because there's no community like our community. I
Well, and
mean,
that's what I was hearing you, even before you said the word community, that's what I was sensing, is that your high school experience, and because of you were all there creatives, that it was that community. So that's pretty dope. That's really interesting. I think that's great. And we all need that in our life, right? We need
yeah.
that community, and whether it's family or church or our
Mhm,
careers or special interests, having that
mhm.
community is so important in our lives. And so now I realize that you have been in, like, I think I saw 50 countries and all
Yeah.
this, and you're doing these tours and all that, and then the color purple, and just some amazing things. And then you get introduced to this investment piece. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
Okay, so I was on tour with The Color Purple. I believe this was like 2008. And John Rogers Jr., who is the founder of Ariel Investments, he was one of the producers of The Color Purple. And when we were in his hometown, Chicago, we did a sit down there for about 8 months, which means that we did the show there for 8 months.
Mhm.
And it was the first leg of the tour. And he decided to invite the cast to his headquarters and give us like a he gave us like a workshop on investments and mutual funds and stuff like that, and gave us an opportunity to open up accounts. And I decided, I mean, the speech, his staff was great. We had a wonderful time, but I wasn't like, oh, this is exciting. I was like, okay, all right, well, I guess I'll invest. Okay, I'll open up an account, and I did that. And a couple of years, that account grew, and it was that was the money that I used to finance the first leg of my Sheeta musical.
Wow.
When I say the first leg, meaning like I did a workshop presentation, and then we did a presentation at Birdland in New York City for audiences to come. And
Okay.
so I was able to finance that. And I was like, wow, this investment thing is kind of cool. So that's how it started. And then a couple of years after that, a friend of mine introduced me to day trading. He was an investor. He had a lot of real estate property, and he traded. And I was interested in like getting some real estate property. And he was like, you can do that, but you should also consider day trading. And I was like, day trading? Well, what is that? And he explained it to me, and that's when I was like, oh, okay. And that's how it happened.
That's how I got started. And something, it's so interesting because that's usually what happens. Someone introduce us to something or someone in there, and now we catch it and run with it. And it sounds like that's exactly what you did. One of the things that struck me, and I never really thought about this, is you mentioned that you were on tour, and you guys you said 8 months in Chicago for The Color Purple. And it's just like your career, you probably have spent months at a time in like these locations. And that seems like it may be a little bit different than maybe even movies, right? Because it may not be as long a time that they would be away from home or traveling.
Right.
So that's an interesting lifestyle all in itself.
Yeah, in that 8 months, that was just Chicago. We were touring the United States. So after Chicago, we did 3 months in California,
Hmm.
and then we did Houston. And so I was on the road for about 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah,
And so
it
you
can
mean
be.
to tell me you're on the road and then you learn about investing. And even now when you're on the road as a day trader, how does that work for you? And explain to us a little bit, because some people have this mindset of day trading, that, if I'm a day trader, I'm sitting in front of my computer all day, um, you know,
Mhm.
drinking coffee, eating bonbons, right? So what exactly, how does that work in terms of your lifestyle?
Okay, you can do that. You can sit in front of your computer all day. There are day traders that do that. But for me, I don't do that. And once you learn your style of trading, well, here's the thing. First, you have to educate yourself. And I have definitely went and I researched on my own. And then once I felt like I've done enough research on my own, and it was time for me to pay for courses, then I started to do that, and I started to
Right.
surround myself with people in the finance industry and just have that conversation every day, because it's great to have a community of people who are talking about the same thing, and
Right.
you're teaching them, they're teaching you. So once I've done that and I've developed my own trading style, then see, now that's a game changer, because everybody can talk to you about their style, and you can say, oh, well, let me try it out, but eventually you're going to see what works for you. So I found what
Right.
works for me, and I don't sit in front of the computer every day. I'm very I kind of just day trade one thing, but that's me. Some people just
Okay.
day trade, some people trade 50, 60 things. I just concentrate on one thing. and I just ride the waves of the market. That's how I trade.
Well, and that's so interesting because I hear people say, I was talking to someone one time and they said, I only trade Apple, right? That's all they trade is Apple. And then, I've heard people say I trade, the Dow Jones, so in those type of things. And it's very interesting. I love that about finding your style of trading that works for you. And
Yeah.
so that's pretty awesome. So do you do a lot of research on that one thing you trade, or you kind of stay up
Oh,
on it?
I stayed for some years. It's just something that I've watched. I used to trade more than one thing, but see, I like volatility in the market. So, like you were talking about the indices, I like the indices. So, I like to trade the indices, whether it's the and I'm more of a bear, meaning that when the
Okay.
market goes down, I make so.
Well, let me
So,
put
and
this plug in. Let me put this plug in right quick. Okay. So those of you who do not know what the bear market or bull market is, as she mentioned that, I'm gonna tell you right now, order my book. I talk about it in my book, and you're gonna
oh,
get a
come
chance
on.
to also enroll in this course with Jeanette, which I'm sure you will learn even more about it. So, and that excites me, right? Because I'm an indices guy too. So I usually every day I'm looking at the S&P 500, I'm looking at the NASDAQ, I'm looking at the Dow Jones, because of much of what I do in my career in terms of helping people with retirement investments and these type of things. That's usually the indices that we're using in their accounts. And so I love that. So I'm sorry, I interrupt. You can continue on that. So
Yeah, so the indices gets me excited, I do look at the S&P 500, and you ride the waves. I mean, you learn that, when you reach a high in the day, there's always a pullback. So you want to ride those waves. And that's my method, but that's what I've developed over the years. Some people like to trade, they like to have like 10, 20 things on their dock, on their watch list. I feel like if I focus on this thing, this works for me. And I know how to dig myself out of holes, because sometimes you do make the wrong decision for the day. You could wake up, that market is red, and you like, for me, that's like, yes, okay, you follow it, turn this down. And then all of a sudden, some type of news comes out or something happens and the market switches and you're already in the trade, and you're like, okay, so am I going to take a loss, or, and you have to have a plan. So I have a plan. So I always have a way to dig myself out of a bad decision so that I basically never lose.
got
Now,
it.
I can be in stock market jail. Now, stock market jail means the trade you did not work out, and you're not going to make any move until you see a noticeable direction,
Okay.
and then you dollar cost average down. That's a whole, but that's my strategy.
Right. So
So
basically, you when you say stock market jail, then you're not really not going on your hunch, but you're waiting for a definite move that you see that then you can make. So I imagine this, and a lot of times on my money minutes that I do on the radio, we have these things when the Federal Reserve will announce interest rates, and you have the jobs report that come out that could have
that
an impact. We see it, right? We see it on the market all the time. Housing numbers may come out and these types of things, and that's kind of probably what makes it a little fun.
exactly. It's wonderful, because when the feds make their announcements, a lot of times it's in my favor.
Right.
I mean, for the past month, it's been in my favor. That market drops, but every now and again, like these last, I would say, like this week, that market was a little green for a long time, and so
It
I
was
have to
for a
like.
few days there, right? Yeah.
So I'm
So
like, whoo, okay. The stock market, yeah, which means I'm not making any moves at this point
right.
until I see a direction, or I see a low, and or in this case a high, because what I trade when the S&P 500 is up, I like to trade the VIX. So when the S&P 500 is up, the VIX is down. So
Right.
when I see a low in the VIX and I feel like, okay, let me get in so I can start dollar cost averaging down and get out of this bad trade that I made, then we start at zero. So there's no loss, but we start at zero. But I haven't been able to pay myself for the week. Now, another thing that I do is that I always make sure I pay myself every day.
Well, come on now. That's what I want to hear about, right? Because if I'm talking about this to my wife and we're talking about day trading, and it's something that I personally want to do, I mentioned that to you. And so, but the question becomes is, okay, how do you pay yourself in this? Or are you just trading and you're building up wealth and you're building up this value? But how do you pay yourself? And consequently, that's one of the issues that I deal with a lot of people with retirement, right? So they have this big retirement, they have rental houses, they have 401ks, and we have to show them how to turn those assets into income. So talk to us a little bit about paying yourself.
Okay, so I have a bunch of accounts. So I do have my investment accounts, and those are long term that I hold. I don't really, there's not much action going. If I buy something, a company I believe in, that's going to be huge in the next 2-3 years, I'll buy that. Those are in those accounts. My day trading account is more of like my money tree account. That's how I see it. Okay. So it's like, for example, like I'll play these little games with myself. And also you have to learn in day trading, every win is a win. Don't minimize your little wins. Like, oh, honey, that was $20. That's nothing. No. Green is always good.
Right.
Green is always good. Because people who trade, we know it could be minus $2,000 or minus $5,000. You know what I mean? So every win is a win. And you have to figure out what are your goals, financial goals for your trading account, and how much you plan to make. And depending on how much you plan to make determines on how much you want to keep in the account. Now, I teach this in my class. I'm giving you a little freebie for those of you who, are listening.
I tuned in tonight. Yeah,
I have a song called 25K, and it's well, first of all, let me just explain. My course, Broadway to Wall Street, it's an introduction to the stock market course, and it helps demystify the stock market. So I use music, animation, and storytelling to teach the stock market. It's all online. Once you sign up, you have it for life. You go at your own pace. So I have these little.
We're gonna do this though. We're gonna scroll that on the screen of how to sign up. But just tell us how, if someone would sign up for that course, how would they do that?
Oh, you would go to Broadway to Wall Street, and the information is there. You can split it up in packages, or you could just get the whole thing for one price. The VIP all access for one price. Yeah. So in this course, I have like these little songs. So it's like you get a song, you get a lecture, which is like a storytelling situation. You get a little bit to read, and then you get an exam. So for every module, that's what you're gonna get. And one of the first modules is I sing this day trading song, and it's like 25K in order to day trade. 25K in order to day trade, but you can swing trade. So I basically talk about day trading and swing trading. Now, if you want to day trade, you have to have at least 25K in the bank, but in your account. But if you want to swing trade, it doesn't matter how much money you have in the account. You just can't buy and sell in the same day more than 5 times a week. Okay. So you can swing trade if you don't have that 25K, meaning that you can buy a stock today and sell it tomorrow.
Got it.
Day trade is when you buy and sell the same security in one day.
Right.
And you can just keep riding the stock market. Oh,
you said that's the day trading? That's the day trading where you buy and sell in the same day.
In the same day.
Trading. Okay, got it.
Right. So so depending on what you want to do, your goals, if you want to make $1,000 a day, then I would suggest you have maybe at least. My risk management is serious, and that's so important in day risk management. So I'm very careful with what I'm trying to make and making sure I have enough to cover what I want to do. So depending on your goals, like for example, and sometimes I don't trade. I may be busy working on a project, traveling, singing here and there. But there are sometimes when I'm like, okay, wait a minute, I negotiated this contract and I didn't negotiate my parking. And parking in New York City is so expensive. So I had just finished doing a show where I didn't, for whatever reason, the parking wasn't negotiated.
Okay.
For whatever reason. And I was like, man, okay. So you know what I got to do? So I got to make sure I at least make my parking in my trading account every day. At least make the parking. Parking in New York City, like I said, is very expensive. And so that's what I did. You know,
Okay.
it wasn't anything.
So
It was. I didn't
you
have
had a purpose. You had a purpose for that trading,
right.
what you wanted, a goal for it. Got it.
And I would usually make that. I would usually make that parking in the in the pre hours between 7 and 9, right? Because you can start trading at 7 in New York at least. Sometimes the trains per city, but yeah. And I'm with TD Ameritrade, so I would start at 7, and I'd be like, oh, let me make that. And I would make it before I even got to work. I would make it, and when I make it, I transfer it into my bank account.
Okay.
That's how I pay myself.
So that's how you pay yourself, is that you
at the end of the day,
you make that
actually,
money.
I
Go ahead.
make it. And honestly, the way that I do to monitor myself, anytime I realize a gain, I send that to my bank account.
Okay.
So every day I will keep, so there's a specific amount that I'm going to have in my bank account, in my trading account. Anything over goes into my, I pay myself.
Got it. Got it.
That's how I do it. But you
listen, I like that method. I like that a lot.
Yeah,
right?
because what happens if you don't do that, and I've done it the other way, you're just really, it's like you're going back and forth and you can't really appreciate the gains.
Right. Right.
You
So
know what I mean?
you have this wealth and you're making this money, but you're not utilizing it, you're not using it for
You're not using it. And then sometimes you make a bad move with all of that you gained last week is gone. You know what I mean? So it's like, no.
Nah, you'd be like, I should have took some of that out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
So I don't have those days. I take that, but that's what my trading account is, my money tree. You know, like if I know I'm not going to be in the show, or, you know, my paychecks are stopped, and I say, okay, well now this is what I have to make a day. Okay, I'm gonna have to at least make $1,000 a day, or I'm gonna have to at least make 2,000 a day, depending on what it is. There have been times like where I'm like, oh, okay, all I need to make is like $100 a day. And that's low stress. You know what I mean? It's like, I can do that in my sleep. But then sometimes if you want to make that 5,000 a day, you're like, okay, all right. And then you can't get too emotional.
Right. You got to get the emotions out of it, right?
Because you're trying to, you know, so it's a lot of the psychology behind the stock market is really important to learn. And I teach that in my course. My course is a good foundation for people getting into the stock market, because those things that I teach are the things that you're going to need to save your money and not get greedy and miss risk management in place, because it's easy to get greedy. Once you find out something works, and we all fall into that trap. You're like, oh, this works. I know for sure. Like, I'm a gap girl. We know that gaps close in the market. Technical analysis, gaps close. You don't know when, but usually with the indices, they close quicker than with a regular stock. But sometimes that gaps down, and you're like, well, I'm getting in. And then it goes down further. And then now the stock is trending down for the week. And you're like, oh man, I done messed up. But you know what I mean? So you have to manage your emotions, your greed level, your fear level. It's a lot. All
those things are so important. Well, you know, one of the things you started to say, like, if you want to make at least $1,000 a day, which is, I mean, that's significant money. You're talking about, you know, 5 days a week trading is taking place here in the US markets, right? So how much do you have to have in your trading account to make that type of money?
Okay, so depending on how you're trading, it's much easier to make that money if you're doing options, right?
Right.
Because
I like options.
You like the options are good when they work,
but when they don't,
but when they don't, you're gonna feel the pain.
Right.
So if you're options, it takes less money because you're selling. You're getting contracts. You're buying one contract is worth is 100 shares of whatever you purchase, and if you buy it at a fraction of a price, then you buy it at a fraction of a price than if you would have just bought it straight out 100 shares. So you need less money for that. But with options, there's a time frame. So if that trade does not work out by Friday, depending on depending on your expiration date, it's a lot of technical stuff, then you know you can lose all of it, half of it, depending on when you decide to get out the trade. So there's a time frame on that. I don't like time frame.
A little bit more risk. Okay, gotcha. So
there's way more risk, but the reward is beautiful when it works out. When the trade works out and you've done your proper research and whatever technical analysis you do, and you would want to trade options on that. You don't want to just be like, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. All right, that's the sure way to lose a lot of your money. So if you're doing options, it takes way less for you to make $1,000 a day, but it's way risky. Me, I don't really like to do options, and I would say if you want to make $1,000 a day in the stock market, you have to be able to lose $1,000 a day. And when I say lose, not necessarily lose, just see your account go down $1,000.
Right.
Right. So whatever you're doing, that's the calculation. If you want to make $1,000 a day, you got to have enough in your account as a day trader that if your account goes down 1,000 for the day and your trade didn't work out, it may work out later on that you are okay and you're still above that 25,000 mark.
Gotcha. We always say this. It's don't invest any more than you can afford to lose, right? And so, well, this has been great. It's been educational. I think the way you do it in terms of, like you say, I trade one thing, makes it more palatable for people because it can be very, very complex. There's so many different companies, and now we got cryptocurrencies that people are talking about. You got forex, foreign exchange. There's a lot of different things out there, and I've heard people say too that find something that you're interested in, something that you like, and trade that. If you're into whatever, then trade that. So this has been great information. Go ahead.
What happens too when you trade a lot of things, you'll have one thing that's made so much money, but then you have that other thing that's lost so much money, and so now you like, you're just breaking even.
Right.
Right.
And we ain't getting in this to break even. We want to make some money, right? So
the only way I break even is when I make a bad trade and I'm in stock market jail and I gotta wait and dollar cost average down to get myself out. Then I'll break even and I'm like, okay, now I can start from scratch and make a better decision.
Now you can put that behind you and go to the next.
Exactly. But I broke even. I didn't lose.
Right.
In a sense, I lost in a sense where I was able to pay myself for maybe 5 days, but
right.
I'm still at my base. Yeah.
Got it. Well, listen, I want you to tell one more time, the website to sign up is
Broadway to wallstreet.com. Sign up. And I would say, don't wait. Sometimes you're like, well, when I get a lot of money, then I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna educate yourself now. So when that money comes, you know exactly what to do. You know how to make it grow. You can have your own money tree. Having a money tree is an amazing thing. It is an amazing thing because you have a way you have the knowledge to dig yourself out of every situation, because life is life, right? So we go through all kinds of ups and downs. Sometimes you don't have money. Sometimes you do have money. But when you have that knowledge that, okay, I can flip this money. I can make this money work for me. There's power in that. And you have leverage in life. You're not just accepting anything because you need the money. Yeah.
I love it. Choices. We all want choices, right? And so thank you again so much for taking the time out to come and do this interview with me. And I really hope that we have people that will sign up for the course and learn so that we all can start doing some day trading. So thank you again. Safe travels abroad. And this not be the last time that you come on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet.
You're on mute, Tom.
I'm on mute. All right. So what you think, Michelle?
That was really good. Lots of good information.
Yeah, I thought it was great information. And it's so interesting because I was mentioning to you when we were in the green room after she came on the show, and we had people talk about trading before some years ago, Jay Morrison. And then our very first show, April 2nd, 2020, we had Michael Harding that came in and talked about options and how the insurance company and annuity companies are using options so that we guarantee no one loses money. And so after she came on the show, I read an audio book about how to make money options. And so now I listened to this interview again, and I'm starting to hear the same words, and so it's
Mhm.
starting to get that information in my you know, in my mind and in my soul, and
Yeah.
so I think it's pretty interesting. I think and you know, just you know, by her talking about it, you know, you start with swing trading.
Right.
And so, and you know, her again, her definition of swing trading is that you can't buy and sell the
Buy
same
and sell
stock
on the same day.
the same day. You
Yeah.
can't make more than 5 trades in a day
Mhm.
until you have enough to have the 25,000 to do actual day trading. And so, and then there, of course, there's options. So I thought it was great information. And I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm gonna give it a
You gonna
spin. So
try
I'll
it?
let you. I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it. I
So
ain't telling you. I ain't gonna tell y'all when, but I'm gonna try it.
so where do you start? Like, where do you create an account?
Well, she mentioned that she uses TD Ameritrade.
Yeah.
So I think there's other platforms. There's E-Trade, there's Scottrade,
Mhm.
those where you can set up a trading account where you're
Mhm.
doing it on yourself. But I think where we start, folks, family, is that we start with educating ourselves.
Yeah.
And you know, before even opening an account, start to watch some of the YouTube stuff, start reading books about
Mhm.
it, and then I think also signing up for like her course. I mean, I know
Yeah.
Boyce Watkins, which by the way, folks, family, I will be at the Boyce Watkins um,
This
conference this
weekend.
weekend. So if you are in Charlotte, you're attending. I speak actually at, it will be actually probably 7 o'clock. I'm the third speaker. The event starts at 6:30, starts at 5. The B1 speakers, which are like TED Talks, start at 6:30. I am the third speaker. And then we have the power networking or speed networking that takes place after that at 7:30. And then most likely after that, me and Lisa gonna be out of there, right? So we want to go home and go to bed, right? So we
Right.
can be ready for the next day. But we're looking forward to that and the gala and all that. But anyway, you know, like Boyce Watkins has a course on investing,
Mhm.
and so you know, there's other places where you can get it. I think you just have to kind of start to, you know, just kind of indulge yourself in getting that information. I
Right.
think that's where we start.
Yeah,
And
that's
so,
true.
and maybe y'all, maybe I just maybe, what if we happen to start a TRMC investment club?
Right.
And you know, if y'all like that idea, email me, put it in the chat. Maybe we start a TRMC investment club and we all learn together
Right.
and start doing our trading together. That sounds like it might be fun.
Yeah. It
So
actually, like, people can actually take action, you know, because you hear good information like tonight, you know, but what's the next step?
right.
That's what I always want to know, is give people the next step that they need to take. So
Look, and we got a couple votes already. And you know, I
yep.
appreciate y'all hanging in with us too. We went through the difficulties with
Right.
the technical. Y'all hung in there. I'm telling you, y'all dedicated. And you might be watching the replay. You good too if you watch this whole
Right.
thing. So listen, Vaughn said, yes, let's do the investment club. Euro Day said, I like it. Count me in. So a
Yes.
lot of people are interested in that. And so you know, maybe more to come on that. So
Right. Right.
and we can learn together, and who knows
Mhm.
where it'll go. So
Right.
and I will encourage my family to definitely look into it because it's another stream of income.
It's another stream of income.
Yep. So with that, you all, thank you for hanging in here. You've been watching the Real Money Coach Show. And again, we had a great event tonight. It was from Broadway to Wall Street. I love that title. I think that's pretty cool.
Yes,
So
I like
with
that.
that, y'all be good. We see you next week right here,
All
same
right.
place, same
Have a
time.
good week.
Have a good evening, everybody. And there we go.